Hello, the wonderful people of YouTube. Retro Rewinder here, coming at you guys with another episode of Drive Time. On this episode of Drive Time, I'd like to talk to you guys and have you guys talk back in the comments or video response, however you want to do it, about talking about video games with your friends or family that don't know anything about video games. I've just got a couple examples, and I wanted to know if you guys kind of experience the same things I do. So my wife, first of all, doesn't know much about video games. She'll play every now and then a random title, but she doesn't hardly play at all. So when I talk about video game hunting and picking up video games, she's always talking to me about it, but she really doesn't know much about it, and she laughs at the things I say. So like one of the things I always say is hunting for a game or finding it in the wild. I'm sure most of the people that have YouTube channels, when you talk to other YouTubers, you say, hell yeah, I found that out in the wild. And whenever I say that to any of my friends or my family, they just look at me and laugh because they think that sounds stupid. Basically, they don't understand the out in the wild. And then, I try to explain to them that if you go into a video game store, your chances of finding something are a lot higher. So when you find something that's not in a video game store at a garage sale, and, I explain to that, we call that in the wild. And they just think that's hilarious. Another thing was, recently I showed in a video that I picked up a Nintendo box. Well, when my friend told me about it, I went to check it out, and it was complete. It had the styrofoam, the NES was in the box, the gun, the controllers, everything was in there. And I was talking to her about it, and she's like, oh, I really want to keep this. And I was like, okay. I was like, I didn't want the system anyway. I've already got a system. She kind of looked at me really funny, and she's like, well, if you don't want the system, what would you want? I was like, I just want the box. And she just gave me this look like, why in the hell would you want just the box? So it's just kind of funny because they don't really understand that, and us as gamers, or collectors I should say more, how we like to have things complete. Another thing I talk about, I try to talk about systems that people, I've picked up 2 CDIs out in the wild, and I talked to my friends about getting it, and they're like, first of all, they have no idea what a CDI is, and then when I tell them, they were like, well, why would you want that? Because I pretty much told them that all the games are shite. But it's like, because it's, part of history, and, I'm a really big fan of the Zelda series, and there's 3D games that came out on the system, and they're like, well, why if they're bad, why would you want them? I was like, because, I like to collect them. And I get that all the time. Like, a lot of people that I tell I collect, they're like, well, why do you have so many games? And it's like, well, because, I collect. And they're like, well, do you play them all? And it's like, no, but, maybe one day I'll get around to it. And they're like, well, why would you want to have something like that? And then you try to explain to them, it's like collecting anything else, coins, baseball cards, and a lot of the times they don't really understand it. Every now and then a person that's not really into video games will be like, oh, that's awesome, you're so cool to have that, or whatever. Not so cool. I'm not all my non-video game friends don't call me cool, but some people think it's cool to have the collection. But anyway, I just wanted to know what you guys thought more than anything, but I just wanted to share a few examples of what I was kind of referring to. Do your friends or family that don't really game or collect, how do they react when you talk to them about hunting for games, finding them, trading with YouTube people? That's another big one. I talk all the time. I'll talk to my wife. I was like, yeah, I was talking to Jason today, or I was talking to Justin, TJ, and first of all, I have to explain which one I'm talking about because she never remembers their names. So I basically oh, it's the one that lives in Atlanta, blah, 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 or, whatever. But she just thinks it's the weirdest thing that I talk to these somewhat random people on YouTube. But, they're basically my friends now, even though, I've never met them, but I'm soon to meet TJ. But, do any of your friends or family just think it's the weirdest thing that you talk to people on YouTube and do these trades? I just want to know what you guys think. Do you have any weird, people think you're weird type story going on? Anyway, this has been Retro Rewinder. I'm kind of rambling on. Probably could have gotten to the point a little quicker than I did. But, again, this is me, Retro Rewinder, and I'll talk to you next drive.